Может, не надо?
Это ж просто кассета.
There's breaking news from the New York Times tonight. According to an analysis of Donald Trump's tax returns, the President of the United States has a secret bank account in China that he has never revealed in his financial disclosure forms. The Times reports the foreign accounts do not show up on Trump's public financial disclosures, where he must list personal assets because they are held under corporate names. The identities of the financial institutions are not clear. Donald Trump has long sought all sorts of business deals in China. His efforts go at least as far back as 2006, when he filed trademark applications in Hong Kong and mainland China. Many Chinese government approvals came after he became president. The president's daughter, Ivanka Trump, also won Chinese trademark approvals for her personal business only after her father became president and she personally joined the White House staff and became a federal employee. According to the New York Times, Trump's plans in China have been largely driven by Trump International Hotels Management, the one with a Chinese bank account. In 2017, the first year of the Trump presidency, the company reported an unusually large spike in revenue, some $17.5 million, more than the previous 5 years combined. It was accompanied by a $15.1 million withdrawal by Trump from the company's capital account. Joining our discussion now, Tim O'Brien, senior columnist for Bloomberg Opinion. He is author of the book Trump Nation. And Tim, I always wonder on these nights, what did Tim know and when did he know it? Since you're one of the very few people who ever got a chance to look at Trump tax returns when he was suing you for libel, and of course you won the case, and in the process got a chance to look at, through discovery at those tax returns. What's your reaction to what I'm learning in the New York Times tonight, and you might have already had some hint of?
Well, even without looking at Donald Trump's tax returns, Lawrence, nobody should be surprised that he has a bank account in China. He tried for over a decade to get business done there. You've already outlined Ivanka's efforts. Jared Kushner, prior to Trump winning the election, was courting Chinese investors to bail the Kushner family out of 666 Fifth Avenue. The Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, the biggest bank in China and one of the biggest banks in the world, was a tenant at Trump Tower. And Trump has bank accounts all over the world. Most of them have no money in them. He does not let cash sit around very long. But regardless, and the Times story is speculative. They're trying to connect dots. They're leaving a lot of breadcrumbs here for people like Cy Vance at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office to follow. But even if there's nothing ultimately untoward about what moved through that Chinese bank account, you can rest assured that the Chinese government was watching it the entire time. Elite members in the Chinese business community knew what was going in and out of that account. And if there was anything untoward, that then becomes leverage that the Chinese government and Chinese business interests can exercise over the President of the United States. And this is emblematic of what's haunted the Trump administration from day one. Is Trump is financially conflicted. He breaks the law or bends the law willy-nilly. And this is a national security threat because he's compromised by relationships like this.
Привет! Добро пожаловать на канал Geekbrains. Сегодня разберемся, кто такой специалист по защите информации, чем он занимается, сколько за...
Tonight, the grand jury member in the Breonna Taylor case breaking their silence. The anonymous juror allowed to reveal what happened behind closed doors after a very rare judge's ruling. They say the grand jury was never allowed to consider homicide charges against the officers because prosecutors didn't think they could stick. And what they say Kentucky's attorney general got wrong, tonight Taylor's family reacts. 2 officers shot, 1 killed in the line of duty, a 41-year veteran of the force. The suspect under arrest tonight. With 2 weeks until Election Day, First Lady Melania Trump canceling her return to the campaign trail, the lingering COVID symptoms she's battling, and the president lashing out over the change for his final debate against Joe Biden, the plan to mute their mics. The Justice Department accusing Google of an illegal monopoly. The major antitrust action announced today what it means for your online searches. The controversial vaccine trial, researchers planning to inject healthy volunteers with the live virus. In 40 states, cases on the rise. Inside, the strike teams being deployed to nursing homes and the items to stock up on now before winter comes.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening, everyone. The wall of secrecy that normally surrounds the grand jury process has been pierced in a case that has captivated the country. An anonymous grand juror in the Breonna Taylor shooting case, now permitted to talk, says the panel was never given the option to indict police officers with homicide. Taylor, an innocent woman, was shot and killed by Louisville officers in her own home during a bungled raid, but no one was charged in her death. Our Gabe Gutierrez tells us more.
Tonight, in a rare rebuke, an anonymous grand juror in the Breonna Taylor case now says questions were asked about additional charges, and the grand jury was told there would be none because the prosecutors didn't feel they could make them stick.
By the way, reader. Ja, znači, platna ili sport? Долго говорю. I don't understand the case. She was the girl of the drug dealer, yeah? Of the bad guy with a gun. So what's the problem? How it said? Wife, woman, girl. Yeah, maybe they were taking criminals. Да, наверное, что she was a drug taker. Smoker, at least. So what's the big deal about? What's the problem? Don't be a girl of a drug dealer or a killer or something. with a gun, with the drugs in his pocket or somewhere. It's so strange. Justice images. Да пошел нахер. Чё? Видишь ты какой?
Adding, the jury never considered homicide charges because they were not.
Дочь преступника, говорит, да, наркоманка, ну, да не важно даже. Решалась, когда ты сидишь дома, Ну, не знаю, представь, что ты девушка, как это объяснить? У тебя чувак с пушкой, который продает наркотики, у него бизнес по продаже наркотиков, понимаешь? И ни с того ни с сего врываются копы, и он начинает отстреливаться. Какое несчастье. Может, они там сидели, траву курили, например, или нет, конечно, может, они там хрен его знает, никто не знает. Но она, конечно, нет, не соучастница, деньги не тогда есть. Может, он там проворовался пипец как. Меня не касается, я просто теоретист. Наверное, да, просто может. Модно просто для отвода глаз, как говорится. Просто модняло. Так там нигеры, они все преступники практически, наверное. Ну, не все, конечно, да. Но тем не менее, как бы. Ну так. Не знаю, не знаю. Улицу переходят, говорит, но меня не касается, может быть, и нет. Все очень культурное, все, не рэперы, да, наоборот, значит, раки все. Да, не знаю.
Given the option, the 26-year-old former EMT was shot and killed at her apartment in March during a botched drug raid. No officers were charged in her death, though one who's pleaded not guilty was accused of wanton endangerment for firing bullets that ended up in another apartment. Kentucky's Attorney General Daniel Cameron said the actions of the two other officers were justified because they opened fire only after Taylor's boyfriend shot at them first.
The rule of law must apply.
Police say they identified themselves. Her boyfriend insists they didn't. Now the juror says the grand jury didn't know.
С чего он будет делать? Тебе что, правда будет говорить, что ли? Нигер, драг-дилер. Он говорит, не, говорит, это я потому что так говорил.
Agree that certain actions were justified, nor did
Его
it
бы никто не
decide.
слушал, естественно, ты сам подумай. Драг-дилер, нигер. Его бы никто не слушал, естественно. А нет, он говорит, нет, они не сказали, кто такие.
The indictment should be the only charges in the Breonna Taylor case. A case that has fueled protests worldwide. Today, a Kentucky judge ruled jurors could speak publicly.
But at this time, our clients do wish to remain anonymous. We are still assessing their position moving forward.
Grand jury proceedings are typically secret by law, but previously the Attorney General's office released 15 hours of audio recordings, revealing at one point at least the jury.
Ну так полно людей умирает, и что теперь? Сейчас, что ли, вот в этот момент кого-то отстреливают, там, нигеры кого-то убивают, и, наверное, да, то есть, просто так, я ты думал, да, постоянно. Нет, не подтвердишь, что хороший человек.
2006.
Ты же англичанин у нас, точно.
Dot.
Понимаю, так говорю. Подожди, дай-ка это самое. Понял.
ISBN 5-8046-0174-1 Copyright 2006. ISBN 5
Я понял.
127
Все понятно.
125
Подожди.
170
Остановись.
232 242.
чужих бесплатно можно конвертировать. Ну, наверное. Что такое вообще, а? Короче, делать ночью.
Jurors wanted to hear more.
We don't show all the videos, we just cost of time. And we get time.
Kentucky's Attorney General says he disagrees with the judge's decision.
And we get time.
Kentucky's Attorney General says he disagrees with the judge's decision, but will not appeal it, adding that he only asked for the charges that could be proven under state law. Taylor's family is asking for a new special prosecutor and another grand jury. Lester?
Gabe Gutierrez, thank you. In Houston, a veteran police officer was shot and killed today as he responded to a report of a domestic dispute. Police say the suspect shot Sergeant Harold Preston several times in front of his apartment. Another officer was wounded and is in stable condition. The officers returned fire, wounding the suspect who was under arrest. Sergeant Preston was 65 years old. He'd been on the force for 41 years. With just 2 weeks now before Election Day, President Trump is in battleground Pennsylvania, but not with First Lady Melania Trump, as she called off her trip late this afternoon. Jeff Bennett has the latest.
First Lady Melania Trump was set to join the president at a rally in battleground Pennsylvania tonight, planned as her first public appearance since recovering from coronavirus. But this afternoon, canceled, an aide citing a lingering cough. coming as the president continues to criticize the Commission on Presidential Debates.
I think the whole thing is crazy.
Over their new plan to prevent another debate debacle.
Why would you answer that question?
The question is,
the radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen,
The commission announcing late Monday that President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden will have their microphones muted during portions of Thursday's final matchup. President Trump telling reporters Monday night, "I'll participate, I just think it's very unfair." Biden off the trail today, preparing for the debate back in Delaware. With Election Day 2 weeks away, President Trump offering this contrast with his Democratic rival.
They want to raise your taxes, I want to lower your taxes, regulations, all of that. But the bottom line, the American dream, the great American dream versus being a socialist hellhole.
In fact, Biden proposes raising taxes on corporations and the super wealthy to help fund priorities like manufacturing, clean energy, and childcare.
So you can raise a lot of money to be able to invest in things that can make your life easier.
Experts now saying high earners in New York and California could see their combined federal and state tax rates jump from roughly 50% to more than 60%. But Biden says under his plan, no one making less than $400,000 a year will see their taxes go up. President Trump has repeatedly promised middle-class tax cuts, but has yet to provide a plan or specifics. And President Trump is making headlines tonight for cutting short an interview with Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes. The president then taunting her on Twitter and threatening to release his own recording of their interview. A source telling me it all unfolded after the president grew irritated with her line of questioning. Lester?
All right, Jeff Bennett at the White House, thanks. Also breaking, the Justice Department suing Google in a massive antitrust suit, arguing it's far too big, abusing its dominant position, and squeezing out competitors. Tom Costello and what it might mean for you.
Few companies get so big, their very name becomes a verb. But ask any American which search engine they prefer, the answer is almost unanimous.
Google.
Google?
Google.
I always go to Google. 90% of online searches are run by Google.
Companies pay to place those ads that pop up at the top of your every search.
Now, the Justice Department says Google is so dominant because of deals it struck to be the default search app on phones and computers, elbowing out wannabe competitors like Yelp.
I think what Yelp is hoping for is just really the chance for a level playing field where we can compete on the merits.
In a statement, Google says the lawsuit is deeply flawed. People use Google because they choose to, not because they're forced to or because they can't find alternative.
0174, один символ авторского права ЗАО «Издательский дом», Питер, 2006. Оглавление. Введение 6. Глава 1. Что такое педагогика? 10 истоки происхождения педагогики и этапы ее развития. 10 педагогическая практика. 15 педагогика как наука. 20 основные категории педагогики. Оглавление. Введение 6. Глава 1. Что такое педагогика? 10 истоки происхождения педагогики и этапы ее развития. 10 педагогическая практика. 15 педагогика как наука. 20 основные категории педагогики. 24 общекультурное значение педагогики. 29. Глава 2. Воспитание человека. 32 Человек как предмет воспитания. 32 цели воспитания и самовоспитания. 32 воспитание как процесс. 33 способы воспитательного воздействия на человека. 40 типы воспитания. 45 моделей и стилей воспитания. 49 поликультурное воспитание. Воспитательные системы, зарубежный и отечественный опыт. 57. Глава 3. Образование и культура. 62 образование как способ вхождения человека в мир науки и культуры. 62 образование как система и процесс. 68 модели образования. 69 возрастная динамика развития человека в процессе образования. 78 характеристика процесса обучения. 86 закономерности обучения. 88 виды и стили обучения. 91 образовательные технологии. 98 типы организации социальных отношений в процессе обучения. 98 формы организации обучения в школе и вузе. 100 дидактические теории и концепции. 105. Глава 4. Образование в мире, история и современность. 109 развитие образовательных институтов в мировой практике, исторический аспект. 109 инновационные образовательные системы 20 века. 123 некоторые наиболее известные в мире, новые школы, 20 столетия. 125 инноваций в высшей школе. 102.
But it's the DOJ's biggest antitrust action since it sued Microsoft in the 1990s. 11 Republican state AGs have joined the suit. Democrat state AGs are also investigating Google. If Google were to be penalized, other tech giants could also be targeted.
Probably nothing is going to change about how you search the internet or how you use your smartphone, but this could pave the way for a wide array of changes down the road.
A global tech giant now in a giant legal fight. Tom Costello, NBC News, Washington.
While some Americans have grown more skeptical about the safety of a COVID vaccine and a Aggressive and controversial approach to testing vaccines has just been announced. Here's Richard Engel with that.
Scientists at this London hospital are preparing to deliberately infect volunteers with the coronavirus to test the effectiveness of vaccines and treatments. The so-called challenge trial is much faster than what's happening now, with volunteers around the world who live normally at home and may or may not ever become infected. In a challenge trial, infection is guaranteed. Sophie Rose, a student at Johns Hopkins University studying in the UK, wants to take part.
The best way to tackle this problem is to start with these trials in a young, healthy population where the risk is lower.
What happens if one of these volunteers dies?
So when these sorts of trials are designed, they are definitely informed and it is acknowledged that there is a risk of death.
The first step, infect 90 volunteers 18 to 30 years old with the minimum required to get them sick enough to then test vaccines or treatments, but not enough to make them seriously ill. Some researchers object on ethical grounds.
They inject healthy volunteers with a virus for which we have no cure at the moment. If we would have a cure, an effective treatment, I would be all for it.
The challenge trials still need approval here in the UK, but that is expected to be granted. They could start as early as January. Lester?
Richard Engel tonight, thank you. There are disturbing double-digit increases in hospitalizations, with several ICUs now maxed out. And a new warning tonight about nursing homes. With that, here's Miguel Almaguer.
Geographic location has made little difference for the spread of the virus. In Austin, hospital admissions are up 50%. In Bismarck, active cases have more than doubled. And now in Chicago, there's more than 500 new infections a day.
Make no mistake, we are in the second surge.
It's not just city strained, but an entire state struggling. North Dakota has the most cases per capita in the country. In North Carolina, some hospitals are overwhelmed, and so are staff.
It's real. It's very real. There's probably another day of don't cry.
After clubs reopened in Miami, county officials went to court Monday to get a curfew reinstated.
Here in California, home to more than half a dozen major theme parks, after weeks of pressure, the state eased restrictions. But the largest, Disneyland and Universal, still can't reopen.
But authorities say colder weather is driving smaller indoor gatherings too, contributing to the new surge. Claudia Martinez, who lost her father Raul to COVID, is among the many families struggling today.
He was the funniest guy. Loved family.
With the elderly at higher risk, tonight in a growing number of states, a new rash of infections and dozens of deaths have been reported at nursing homes. Those who first took the greatest toll, now again paying the highest price. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
This is Kate Snow. With cases on the rise at nursing homes, some states have already been preparing.
So we've been activated from Carolina Village.
In Henderson County, North Carolina, a strike team responds anytime a nursing home has 2 or more COVID cases.
We're going to get there, we're going to set up hot zone.
Today is just a drill. They set up tents outside, gear up, and build temporary walls inside to isolate sick residents from healthy.
So your wall's going right here at the end of this breaking hallway right here.
Kim Lughart works nights in a factory, but here she's an expert on how to fit staff for personal protective gear.
The biggest risk is when you take your PPE off. So when you're taking off your gowns, your gloves, that's when you have the highest risk for contamination.
So your job is to teach them how to do it correctly.
To reinforce what they already know.
Are you trying to stop it from spreading as fast as it would?
We're trying every way we can.
Mark Shepard has been rappelling down mountains or responding to hurricanes for 20 years. The pandemic is just as big a threat.
This is our most vulnerable population in Henderson County. This is me and you 40 years from now, and we want to make sure they're supported.
A federal panel formed to look at nursing homes called for a national strategy for testing and delivering rapid turnaround of results, ensuring a 3-month supply of PPE and better communication with families. 42% of COVID-19 deaths have been at nursing home or assisted living facilities. Researchers are scrambling to find therapies that might stop the spread.
We've been married for 68 years.
Herb and Juanita Stultz are part of a unique study bringing an experimental antibody treatment directly to residents when a nursing home has an outbreak.
Why did you want to do this?
He called me up and said, Juanita, I've signed up to do this trial, and I'd like you to go with me. I said, honey, I've been with you all over the world. I'm going to go there too.
That's it.
Drug maker Eli Lilly is studying the treatment across the country. At 92 and 96, Herb and Juanita hope any discoveries will help their grandkids and give them precious time.
You know, we may all have a few years together.
Да, общество воспитывает как бы шпунтик и винтики. Да, чтобы ты да, ну это частный хороший пример, хороший случай, 20 миллионов. Русское общество воспитывает так, чтобы было 2, чтобы 30% общества полегло ни за что, умерло вообще в никуда. Они были великие войны и против одного, ну понимаешь там, то есть даже с точки зрения, это не важно даже. Я тебе просто говорю, да, что... То есть общество так и воспитывает, что ты как бы будешь жизнь никакую произведешь, типа того, да. Ты должен, потому что, ну, гипотетически так, то есть на тебя ничего, типа того, да. То есть, но все живут так, как будто вообще пипец. И руки свесили на это общество и бухают, и отдыхают. Типа того. Ну а как скажешь? Да. Ну да, да. Мужику вообще зазорно это, а женщина, ты че, сучка, ты че не, блин, шлюха, шалава, там, да, древняя. Тоже любимый. Вот видишь, она бессердечная, жестокая, понимаешь? Жестокость, ты не понимаешь? То есть, которая, мать, которая бросается, вот это, мы же не понимаем, женщина это душа, что у нее там в сердце-то, в душе творится, когда она в своих этих, это, да. То есть, ну, это я мужик, жесткий, твердый, как бы, типа того. Я мужик, и я, как бы, да. Так с ними как мужиками надо, то есть, они как бы как мужики, понимаешь? То есть, бездушные, типа, как объяснить-то? Да. Мне еще удивляется, что из них там половину женского населения, квази-женского населения ампутируют там женские все внутренности. Почему ампутируют, их хрен знает. Нахера, они тебе не нужны, как бы ты не тогда. Я вообще просто поражаюсь. Это постоянно беременная ласка какая-то, да, это душа материнства, я не знаю, что тебе сейчас сказать-то, блин. Да, но не заводь, да, никто тебе не даст, да тебе и не надо этого всего, понимаешь? Проживи нормальную жизнь, мне не надо хуйню, да. Нахер не нужно, нету никаких женских дел, это просто, как бы, да, это общество, оно, вот видишь, ты не понимаешь, да, то есть, ты зачем мне хочешь, мне хотят вот это навязать, сказать, что общество, да пошли вы нахер со своими, это ты говоришь, да не в этом, но это как бы частный пример, то есть, да, будь хренососом и отдыхай, и там, как попало, короче, да. Этому обществу нужны улучшения, можно так тоже сказать, да, то есть, ну, тогда ты уже какой-то такой, да, получается, пошло это общество нахер, блин, ну, как бы, а как? Как надо жить свою жизнь, как надо, правильно, да. То есть вообще просто охереть просто, да, понимаешь? Здесь люди мрут постоянно, блядь, бухают до костей себя, это же ужас, ты в больницах, ты был там, нет, это не смотреть, это невозможно просто. Жить. Нет, ладно, все, когда ты будешь одним грибом, такой гриб или зипут, там, да, вот тогда будем жить. Ну такого нету просто. Это что значит, как все? Все равно каждый уникальный, понимаешь? Когда вы все бы одинаковые, это как бы клоны армии, ну типа того. Ужасно.
And we want to be together as much as we can.
All right, Kate Snow with that report. Today, experts report the number of people suffering from anxiety and depression hit an all-time high in September. Here's Ann Thompson.
From the sound of sirens to the distressing headlines.
COVID-19 rises in 38 states.
The coronavirus now taking a toll on America's mental health.
Anxiety and depression was always something that was other people's issue. And then it became really real.
26-year-old Nicholas Clark lost his job as a bar manager and is trying not to lose hope.
when you start getting those dark thoughts, it's hard to even want to get out of bed some days. It's hard.
The pandemic has been hard on everyone. New data from Mental Health America says there was a 634%.
В том, что все время уровень поднимается выше. То есть сейчас может необразованный человек заниматься там, утилизировать компьютер, там, ничего. Ну, то есть как бы, ну да. Ну, наверное, интересно. Наверное. Социализацию тоже, да. Неважно, я всего не знаю, но я точно знаю, что как бы, да, этот мир нельзя слушать, понимаешь? То есть этот мир, он как бы типа того. Надо бояться быть душой, да, ранимым, да, верно, как там, по-женски-то это что не там. И не надо делать просто за себя там, жить детей там, да. Ну что тебе удобнее было? Не жить свою жизнь, отдыхалось тебе, что-то там. Да. Ладно, не говори потом, не спрашивай, что это. Я просто, наверное, там такая жестокость меня мне это не касается.
Jump in people using its online tool for anxiety, an 873% increase in those seeking information about depression.
Are we in a mental health crisis?
We are definitely in a mental health crisis right now. What we're seeing at Mental Health America is unlike anything we've seen before, and we need to do something about it.
The data shows it is particularly dire among young people. Salt Lake City teen Hallie is among the many isolated from friends and the familiar.
My anxiety is just like taking over me.
Their lives have so been cut out from underneath them.
In September, more than half of 11 to 17-year-olds reporting thoughts of suicide or self-harm, the highest rates among LGBTQ youth. With almost 1 in 5 Americans now living with a mental health condition, experts say it's okay not to be okay and ask for help in a time unlike any other. Lester?
A short break up next. What to stock up now ahead of a potential twindemic. In the price you pay tonight with concerns of a potential twindemic this winter, Jolene Kent has the items to stock up on now while you can.
Outdoor heater company AEI has been in business for 55 years, and it's never seen a surge like this.
We're going to be seeing unprecedented demand, 2, 3, 4 times more than we've seen ever before.
The scramble to stock up comes after a spring when toilet paper and bread flour ran out, a summer of sold-out bicycles and trampolines, and now retail experts say patio heaters, home office furniture and equipment, and appliances will be the hottest items as consumers dig in for the long pandemic winter ahead. Deliveries of freezers are up nearly 100% over last year. Portable dishwashers up nearly 50%. At AEI, restaurants are snapping up those heaters to keep operating outside, while individuals try to score them too. What are you doing to close the gap?
I just don't think the demand is going to be able to be fulfilled, that we're going to be able to keep up with it.
So what should you do if one of those hot items is on your checklist?
We're not going to see a lot of the promotional activity that we've seen in the past. And for those who are just thinking about it and on the fence, I would say start making your purchases now.
You can also expect another busy season at grocery stores. Suppliers stockpiling food and sanitizing supplies, hoping to avoid empty shelves as the holidays approach. Lester?
All right, Jolene Kent, thanks. Up next, answering an urgent call for help during virtual learning. Finally, we want to tell you about the scary moment during remote learning and the hero teacher who came to the rescue. Here's Katie Beck.
California high school teacher Jennifer Peterson never leaves a Zoom class before all of her students log off. On Thursday after class, 2 of her students strangely lingered behind.
I could tell by the looks on their faces that there was something wrong.
Something was wrong for the brother and sister virtually learning from home.
My 2 subjects from 874 say he came into the front side window and they saw him running through the house.
It was a break-in in progress.
And then she turned the mic back on and she was shouting, help us, there's someone breaking into our house. And she just kept yelling, help me, help us. I said, okay, I'm calling 911.
Police responded quickly. The suspect ran through the house and outside, jumping a backyard fence before being apprehended by police. All the while, Peterson stayed connected to her students.
I told them I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. I'm staying with you. And I think